Welcome to Convoys with Nifa, where we teach, inform, expose, learn, and discuss issues related to our communities for sustainable community development. I am Hanifa Kut, your host. Greetings and welcome to another episode of Convoys with Nifa. In this episode, as you can see, I don't have a guest, but you have me. I'm going to be tackling a topic on environmentalism, being an environmentalist, and why it's important for us to take care of our environment. Be my guest and stay tuned. In today's episode, I take you back in history to 1962. 1962, when some of us were not yet born, some of our parents were not even born, and the present generation, some of the grandparents to the young ones were not even born yet. In 1962, a lady by the name Rachel Carson wrote a non-fiction book. This book has become quite influential in the present day environmental space. And this is because it had a great focus on what was happening in the environment at that given time. And she wrote it in order to bring about change or try to highlight what was happening in the environment during that specific time. The book's title was The Silent Spring. As it is to date, the Silent Spring is still quite important to us. Perhaps you have heard people saying that, or someone saying that we are currently borrowing the environment from the future generation. Do you think this is true? Do you think that if we were to use the environment the way we want and exploit the resources in a manner in which we want, the generations that come after us will be able to benefit, or will they live a frustrated life? In anything that we do, we are supposed to ensure that there's inter and intragenerational equity. But as we will say, when Rachel Carson wrote the book, it's because she noticed we were already destroying the environment and we were destroying Mother Earth. So she was pushed to do this. By now, probably you're wondering why we're going back to the 60s. Why not talk about just the present generation? So, if you were to get a chance, or if someone was to read The Silent Spring, written by Rachel Carson, she was pushed to this point because she saw what was happening to the environment at that given time. She wrote The Silent Spring because she witnessed the changes and the extent of pollution and contamination that ultimately led to extreme effects on plants, animals, and human beings due to the use of DDT, an insecticide that was used, which had a very high content of chemical, and despite the fact that it was used to bring down something else, it led to the destruction of the environment and destruction of animals and plants. And as the name says, the Silent Spring was because at a specific place, at a specific point, what was experienced was not normal from what had been experienced. Being someone who had grown in the country and seen different things, this was perplexing, and so she decided to come out and write something about the environment, to showcase that how we relate to the environment ultimately affects how the environment affects us. If we destroy our environment, we destroy ourselves too, and we put our future at risk. Her book made her face lots of criticism, but it awoke grassroots community movements who stood for what she attested. Despite the fact that she actually faced criticism because of the book that she wrote, and because other chemists were not for the idea of what she was pushing. And it was during a generation that, if anything, women didn't have power as such. Feminism had not taken root as such, and she was speaking more or less from a biological side and a clear understanding of what she had. Posthumous, she was highly acknowledged, and this brought about different changes to what she had tried to push for, and it actually forged a path to the present day environmentalism. So I just wanted to share this to actually bring us to the point in which we get to understand, did environmentalism and being environmentalists just start in the wake of the 2000s, or it's something that started way back in the 1900s? And it's quite clear that it started way back, only that very minute steps have been taken so far. And as Linda Lear puts it, the silent spring compels each generation to reevaluate its relationship to the natural world. Okay, so fast forward to June 2022, when Stockholm Plus 50 was held. The Stockholm Plus 50 conference was held in Stockholm, Sweden, with the support of Kenya. This was actually 50 years after the very first Stockholm conference, which was held in 1972, which focused on, it was the United Nations Conference on Human Environment. The conference, which was held last year, was called Stockholm Plus 50 because of the very first conference, which was held way back in 1972 in Stockholm, Sweden, that led to the adoption of the Stockholm Convention and Plan for Action. It was the first major conference which was held in relation to things to do with the environment, and it set out principles for preservation and enhancement of the environment. And during this specific conference is actually where United Nations Environmental Program was created to help and steer the different things that had been highlighted as issues that were affecting the environment. This was later followed by different and other meetings and conferences leading to declarations, treaties, and conventions in relation to sustainable management of our resources and the environment itself. So as you can see, as we're getting already to, apart from the 1972, other meetings came and passed, and declarations and treaties and agreements, and we get to the year 2022, and we are still discussing 50 years down the line about effect on the environment. As we're speaking today, like that's already 51 years down the line, and yet we are still grappling with issues related to the environment. Its theme was a healthy planet, for prosperity for all of all, our responsibility, our opportunity. It was trying to actually push for everything that has been talked on time and time again since the very inception of the conferences related to the environment. The world is faced by triple planetary crisis of pollution and waste, nature and biodiversity loss, and climate change. Um, so based on all this, what is environmentalism? Environmentalism is basically having concerns about the environment and taking action to ensure that it is used in the best way possible. And I'm sure when I say that we all need to try to be environmentalists and saying that everything affects us and we should join, the question you have in your mind is why? How important is it? And it seems today we are dealing with lots of years and dates. Sorry. So on 22nd April is Earth Day, which is like 2 days ago. And every year we mark Earth Day, which shows that Earth is actually important. Otherwise, we will not bother to have it and mark it as a very important day in our lives. Earth Day is actually commemorated to raise awareness on issues related to the environment and how to use it sustainably, and actually to applaud the different steps that have been taken to ensure that environment is protected and used in a good manner and it's conserved. So our earth, our environment is very, very important in the lives of human beings. I know if I say that we need to do this because we'll be affected in a certain way, you start thinking it's just about give and take. But in reality, our earth plays a very important role in ensuring that the ecosystem is habitable. This is through the provision of ecosystem services. The ecosystem services are contributions to the well-being of the earth in order for us to live in it and be comfortable in it, and for plants to thrive in it, and for animals to also thrive in it. As stated, ecosystem services are the contributions that make the earth habitable. They are for and include the following: provisioning services. These are the services in which human beings get or obtain from ecosystem, such as water, food, and resources such as wood and even medicine. The regulating services are benefits from natural resources and functioning of the ecosystem, such as flood regulation, water purification, and such. They're very important. Third is cultural services. These include the non-material benefits that are received from the ecosystem, such as for spiritual enrichment, recreation, and even beautiful sceneries. And finally, supporting services, which are related to habitat functioning and are necessary for production of all other services. And basically, from the ecosystem services that we've just mentioned, surviving on Earth without these services will be just rough and tough, really tough. Because as it is, it's like we clearly depend on these services to be actually able to live on this earth and actually be able to progress and do the things that we need to do normally. And that is why, however much there has been a lot of debate on valuing the environment, if we were to value the environment and the services that the environment provides to us, we'd be paying a lot. So it's better if we just decide to actually use our environment in the right way. I know I've said a lot about where environmentalism, where to a great extent its genesis. I'm not saying that 1962 was the genesis, because before that there were already different things that were happening. Only that the silent spring is used a lot in the space presently. But I've not talked about the little ways in which we can actually ensure that we use our environment in the right way and we don't promote degradation of the environment. Because at the moment we are facing different planetary issues, as we've just mentioned, and in your small way, without having to push so hard and try so hard, you can actually bring about change to the environment. So these are some of the ways that I have highlighted that you can do individually, and you can even promote and ask other people to take up the given processes, just in order to ensure that our environment is clean and we don't continue destroying our environment because we depend on it. Yeah. When it comes to waste management, strive to reuse, reduce, recycle, or proper disposal of the waste. If possible, eat locally grown food. Conserve water and energy, closing the tap when you're not using it and switching off the light when you're not using them. Cut down on single-use plastic and ensure proper disposal of your waste. Encourage others to help save the environment and also take part in cleanups. Plant a tree, even a fruit tree. The best time to plant a tree was yesterday. The second best time is now. And finally, do whatever you can to reduce your carbon footprint. You can do this by walking or cycling to cover distances rather than driving or using a vehicle. And that is all I had for this given episode. I know it is short, but I hope it was sweet. Let us try to strive and have a spring that has voices, because a spring without voices is not the ideal one. And let us try to rewrite the past with actions and write a sustainable future, so that even as we leave this earth that we are borrowing from the future generations, they can be able to leave something to the generations that come after them. I've been your host, Hanifa Kut, and thank you for getting this far with me, and hope to see you in the next episode. If you've not subscribed, remember to subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and feel free to share it with your friends and family. Thank you and bye.